The government proposed an amendment bill to streamline the consent mechanism for healthcare providers to deposit patients' data into their eHealth accounts. PolyU makes a bold offer to pay for the setup cost of the city's new medical school. And Russian President Vladimir Putin rejects an immediate and full ceasefire in Ukraine, agreeing only to halt attacks on energy infrastructure, following a call with US President Donald Trump. Good evening. You are watching Cable News. I'm Evelyn Bai. In a bid to enhance healthcare data sharing, the government has introduced the Electronic Health Record Sharing System Amendment Bill 2025. Scheduled for gazetting on Friday, the bill empowers the Secretary for Health to mandate healthcare providers to submit patient data. Xiao Yun reports.
Currently, while the majority of private healthcare providers can access the Electronic Health Record Sharing System records for registered patients, only 0.3% of the database come from private healthcare facilities. The proposed amendments allow the government to compel healthcare providers to submit important specified data, including adverse drug reactions and vaccination records. Violations could result in a fixed penalty of $1,500 or potential prosecution with fines up to $50,000. To streamline consent mechanism, the bill also proposes that once citizens agree to join eHealth, they automatically grant healthcare providers the right to upload their health records. But to retrieve the records, healthcare providers must still obtain a separate approval from the users. Access to eHealth data will also expand to include various healthcare professionals, covering clinical psychologists, dietitians, speech therapists, and more. To address the increasing demand for cross-boundary healthcare services, the bill will pave the way for healthcare providers on the mainland to provide and receive data upon consent by the patients. The bill will be submitted to the Legislative Council for approval next Wednesday. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
The Polytechnic University has joined the race to establish the city's third medical school, becoming the latest contender to submit a proposal to the government. Xiaoyun again has the story.
3 universities will now compete to run the city's third medical school, as the University of Science and Technology and Baptist University had previously submitted proposals. To distinguish itself, PolyU stated that the school will cover the cost of developing the medical school amidst a budget deficit in the city. Council Chairman Lam Tai-fai said neither the current nor the upcoming government would need to allocate funds before the planned medical campus opens in Yaotang-Mei in northern metropolis. A key feature of their 4-year program is the cultivation of artificial intelligence-era medical talent among students with relevant first degrees. President Tang Jin-kwang pledged to build an AI-driven training institution based on the school's foundation in medical engineering integration and over 45 years of experience in nurturing healthcare professionals. PolyU's team of advisors comprises 21 medical experts, including renowned Chinese infectious disease expert Zhong Nanshan and former health chief York Chow. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
At least 10 passengers and a bus driver were injured in a bus crash on Tolo Highway in the afternoon. Bess Leung reports.
A car camera captured the bus approaching the hard shoulder along the noise barrier when entering the ramp before the accident. The bus drove into the hatched area and hit the crash cushion, during which the tail lights did not lit up, suspected failure to brake. Speed limit of the session is 70 kilometers per hour. The bus driver and 10 passengers, 4 men and 6 women, were injured. Some of them had to be transported by stretcher beds and showed blood stains on their faces and necks. A number of the wounded had to have their heads and hands bandaged. Multiple ambulances responded to the scene and took the injured to the Nathasol, North District and Prince of Wales Hospital. The incident happened around 12:15 p.m. when a KMB bus on Route 74X heading towards Shangshui smashed into a crash cushion on a slip road to Taipo Market, causing damage to the front end of the double-decker. Due to the accident, the ramp had been temporarily closed. The cause of the incident is currently under investigation. Baslan Cable News.
Nearly 6 months after the city's taxi penalty points system came into force, a total of 66 misconducting cabbies have been penalized as of March 9th. The taxi driver offense points system, which took effect on September 22nd last year, covers 11 taxi driver-related offenses, including overcharging, refusing to accept a hire, and driving longer routes to a destination. Among the penalized drivers, 49 individuals incurred 10 points, with the remaining incurring below 5 points. No driver is liable to disqualification from driving a cab due to incurrence of 15 or more points. To tackle the long-standing issue of bad taxi service in the city, the government proposes to mandate all cabs be equipped with in-vehicle cameras, dash cameras, and global navigation satellite systems. Transport and Logistics Bureau is expected to submit the proposed legislative amendments to the Legislative Council in the second quarter. After a phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to a 30-day halt to attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure instead of committing a full ceasefire. Anna Chen has the story.
The United States and Russian leaders had a 2-hour-long conversation yesterday, which Trump called very good and productive. However, Putin declined to commit to a 30-day full ceasefire, a plan pitched by Trump that Ukraine agreed to last week. Moscow demanded that the West halt all military aid to Kyiv before it could implement such a plan. Trump, though, denied that the subject of aid came up during the call.
We didn't talk about aid, actually. We didn't talk about aid at all. We talked about a lot of things, but aid was never discussed.
Hours after the phone call ended, a barrage of Russian drones was launched around the Kyiv region, targeting civilian infrastructure. Some patients were forced to evacuate from hospital, with air raid alerts sounded in the capital. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky wrote on social media that we can exactly hear what it is that Russia wants. He said he was waiting for details of what had been agreed between Washington and Moscow, asking Trump to phone him at any time. Meanwhile, U.S. announced that fresh talks on a more lasting truce will take place in Saudi Arabia on Sunday, attended by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Anna Chen, Cable News.
The Israeli army conducted another wave of intense airstrikes against Hamas in Gaza early today, after the first round of attacks killed over 400 Palestinians and injured 600 others. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that this is only the beginning. Anna Chen reports.
Flares were seen over the Gaza Strip last night after Israel resumed bombing in the war-torn region. The first wave of deadly airstrikes targeting densely populated areas shattered nearly 2 months of relative calm since a ceasefire began in January. It also marked the bloodiest single day of violence since the first months of the war in 2023. Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas accused each other of breaching the truce. Netanyahu warned any further ceasefire negotiations will take place only under fire.
Palestinian civilians should avoid any contact with Hamas terrorists. And I call on the people of Gaza, get out of harm's way, move to safer areas. Because every civilian casualty is a tragedy. And every civilian casualty is the fault of Hamas.
The Israeli army has issued evacuation orders covering the northernmost and eastern parts of Gaza, suggesting renewed ground attacks could be launched soon. Under the proposed second phase of ceasefire deal, Israel would withdraw troops from Gaza, but Israel and the U.S. instead pushed for an extension of the first phase, with more hostages being released in exchange for more Palestinian prisoners, though Hamas rejected the proposal. Egypt and Qatar, mediators in the ceasefire talks, condemned the Israeli assault, while the European Union and United Nations deplored the breakdown of the truce. Anna Chen, Cable News.
After being stuck at work for 9 months in space, NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams have arrived back on Earth, bringing their unplanned odyssey to an end. Stranded in space no more, Wilmore and Williams finally returned home, along with 2 fellow crew members. The SpaceX capsule splashed down successfully off the coast of Florida around 6 p.m. local time on Tuesday.
And splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth.
Wilmore and Williams started the journey in June on a week-long test flight of Boeing's Starliner spacecraft. But technical issues occurred, culminating in a NASA decision to fold them into its International Space Station crew rotation schedule and return them on a SpaceX craft this year. Their homecoming was scheduled in February. Then SpaceX capsule issues added another month's delay. During their overtime in the ISS, the duo quickly transitioned from guests to full-fledged station crew members, conducting experiments, fixing equipment, and even spacewalking together. Williams also set a record of the most time spent spacewalking over a career among female astronauts. Mainland technology giant Tencent beat fourth quarter top and bottom line estimates, thanks to the upgrade in its advertising platform and the acceleration in video users' engagement. Bess Leung has the details.
The tech mammoth's net profit reached 51.3 billion yuan for the quarter ended December 2024, up almost 90% from a year ago. Adjusted profit beat estimates, rising almost 30%. For the whole year, Tencent earned 68% more, while adjusted profits grew 41%. The company proposed a final dividend of $4.50 Hong Kong dollars, marking a 32% increase. Total revenue for the quarter surged 11% year-on-year, with value-added services seeing a 14% growth. Revenues of the international and domestic games business rose 15% and 32% respectively. Marketing services revenue jumped by 17%. Capital expenditure last year amounted to a record-breaking 76.7 billion yuan, tripling that of the previous year. The company has earlier revamped its artificial intelligence team to focus on swift product innovation and in-depth model development, leading to a capex of 39 billion yuan in AI project development alone in the fourth quarter. The tech giant expects to see capital expenditure growing.
And expect our capex to account for low teens % of our revenue for the year. In terms of R&D, we'll continue to invest in our own models to accelerate development of AI applications of each of our business groups.
Separately, the company plans to spend at least 80 billion yuan in shares buyback. Less than the 110 billion yuan is spent last year. Bess Leung, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up 30 points. Top ADX stocks of the day. Tencent was down $1. Checker Fund was up 4 cents. Meituan was down $1.40 and SMIC was down 65 cents. With the Rugby Sevens gearing up for its debut at the Kai Tak Sports Park next Friday, the men's Hong Kong team is eager to draw on support from the home crowd and carry that spirit onto the field. Xue Run tells us more.
Bidding farewell to the Hong Kong Stadium last year, the new edition of the Hong Kong Sevens at the Kai Tak Stadium promises an even larger home crowd. As the team took part in an open training session today to prepare for the annual rugby action, team captain James Christie said he is looking to enjoy some one-of-a-kind energy from home fans at the new venue.
Yeah, atmosphere, the fans always get behind you in Hong Kong. We don't get that anywhere else. Obviously, being a home crowd, so just take that energy in and hopefully bring it out on the pitch.
He is confident about leading the team to defend their titles in the Melrose Claymores competition, which features invitational teams from Asia.
Our chance is pretty good. I think China and Japan are always close games. Like last year, Japan beat us in Hong Kong and we only beat China by 2 points. So, it can go either way. So, always looking forward to the tough competition.
Head coach Peter Jerusevic will announce the 13-player lineup for the squad on Sunday. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
On to the weather now. Cool tomorrow morning with a minimum temperature of about 16 degrees in the urban areas and a few degrees lower in the new territories. Dry during the day with a maximum temperature of around 24 degrees. That's our news tonight. I'm Evelyn Bai. Thanks for watching and good night.